Live coverage of Super Tuesday primaries and caucuses. We're going to be a little bit all over the map today. We have I'm stationed here at Game Control in Texas, and we have live at polling stations. We have Travis and Rachel, and another friend of ours, Molly, is going to join us hopefully a little bit later. I'm going to go straight to Rachel because she is right now live on the scene. So let me try to get her in. All right, there we go. Rachel, I think we can see you and hopefully hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you?
Yep. All right, go ahead and tell us what is it like down
Great.
there, and what's the scene?
Oh, it's crazy here. There are thousands of people. We're at local high school, Alameda High School, in Lakewood, Colorado. We came and we didn't know our precinct number, so we had to go to a map. And there's also a table full of people that will tell you what your precinct number is. And then we were ushered back into an auditorium that looks to me like a theater. It's completely packed. All the seats are taken. All the standing room is taken. All the aisles, all the sides are taken. And looking at the line out the door, it's completely full. So it's really crazy around here. And at that point, we were told that the leaders of the caucus would come out and give us rules, and then they would organize us. Because when we went in, there was no organization whatsoever. We didn't know where we're supposed to be standing, or where our precinct is, or where Ursula and Hillary people. We have no idea. It's really crazy over here, and the people just.
Wow. Okay, so it looks like you're gonna be in for a long night, and so how much longer are you planning on being there?
We have a deadline of being done at 9 p.m., so we have by 9. I don't know how that works. I've never done a caucus before, but it's a lot of people to organize in a very short amount of time. So we'll see how it goes. But they should be shutting the doors any minute.
Okay, are you getting a sense at all talking to people? What are people talking about? Issues, or are they just talking, straight up who they're going for? I mean, what's the chatter among the crowd?
So I haven't talked to many people. I sort of went to the station and then came out here to talk to you. I can tell you that the crowd's really diverse. There's a lot of young people, a lot of old people. Some people have signs on them. I got to meet my state representative, Brittany Peterson, I think is her name. She was giving out free. I voted for her last time, so that was nice. The Bernie supporters get our kind of place in the world because it's just so packed. People, and then I kind of escaped out here to talk to you. So I'm going to again kind of hear Adam and Dana out, and he's going to come talk to you about the conversations he's been having, and then we're going to caucus soon.
Very good. All right, we'll get to it, and we'll hear more from you probably a little bit later.
Yes, definitely. Have you seen any of those for Colorado here?
No, nothing yet. Right now, I'm just about to get to all the results that we have coming in. They're just now reporting results from Oklahoma, and Arkansas just finished not that long ago. The next poll closing they're reporting is about 9 minutes away, 9.5 minutes, but they have not mentioned Colorado yet.
Okay. Well, I will send Dana out, and thanks for listening, everybody.
All right, Rachel. Thank you. We'll hear from you soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, so let's get to some of those results as they're coming in, and I've been monitoring the situation closely here. We have several polls that are still closing. Right now, I can tell you that Bernie Sanders has won, not surprisingly, Vermont. Obviously, his home state. That's where he was favored. Bernie actually came out. I watched him give his sort of victory speech for Vermont, and that was kind of a calculated strategy because that might be the only state he actually is the winner in tonight. There's a couple that are going to be real close to call, but it was a move that was done to kind of take the stage early on and not wait around for a bunch of southern states that he might not win. So he got his message across. It was a good speech. It was typical Bernie. It was all about the message. And he kind of repeated his points about the economy, healthcare as a right, public college tuition being free. So he gave his talking points. Now, as far as the southern states go, right now, Arkansas just coming in, Hillary Clinton 70%, so running away with it. Other states, she has won. Georgia, not surprisingly. She's going to do well in the southern states. Alabama, she is at 77%. So really not much of a challenge there. Overall, it's definitely going to be a Hillary night, which is not too surprising. So if you want some more specific numbers coming in, Massachusetts is going to be an interesting race. Right now, 52% Hillary Clinton, 47% Bernie Sanders. Again, right next door to Vermont. So he's got a good chance there, and it's a significant state if he can pull out some delegates there. In Oklahoma, Bernie is actually ahead, 50%. There is one of his possible swing states that he might capture tonight. Again, this is not winner take all. Most of these are. It's about the delegates. So in other words, we're not just looking. Even though the media always talks about the winner, it's not that cut and dry. So Tennessee easily going to Hillary Clinton, 68%. Among the other states coming in, Texas, where I'm at right now. It's going to be interesting on the Republican side to see what happens. Ted Cruz expected to win easily there, but we'll see. Georgia, I already mentioned, Hillary won by a 3-1 margin. And hold that thought. Hello, Molly?
Not sure, but how are you?
Good, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Good. Yeah, I can hear you okay. I think so. It's pretty loud in here. There's probably about, I gotta say, about 1,200 people in here right now.
Wow. All right, I'm going to put you on.
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, go ahead. I got you on screen now. You're live, so go ahead and tell us.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna flip this real quick. I want everybody to see what we've got going on here. So we have 30 precincts here at my location, and there's got to be about 12 to 1,500 people in this gymnasium right now. So it's a packed house.
Wow. Okay, so Rachel was just on. She was telling us it was very chaotic.
Yeah, it's pretty chaotic right now. The crowd. I mean, I'm feeling like it's going to be a pretty tight race here. We've got quite a few Bernie supporters wandering, quite a few Hillary supporters wandering. So far, everyone's really friendly. Everyone's really getting along, meeting neighbors. It's a pretty great environment, but we'll see what happens at 7 o'clock when everything kind of shuts up.
Okay, so you're saying it's pretty even split right now? That's the sense you're getting from the crowd, that it's kind of too close to call?
I feel like it's going to be too close to call until we get to the actual nominating. So we've got some campaigning, some petitioning going on from different candidate representatives. Local politics are happening. I signed up to volunteer for a local state representative. So there's a lot of things going on right now. So I am going to go ahead, since I was unknowingly elected to be some kind of precinct captain. I'm going to go ahead and terminate for now, but I'm going to call you back.
All right, sounds good. We'll be standing by here.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. Good to see you. All right, so that was our friend Molly Judson. Also very active. I didn't get to go out and really stump for any politicians this year. I'm stuck here at Game Control, monitoring this feed. So That's okay. I did my part in 2008. So results coming in right now. Let me recap what has happened so far. Again, Bernie Sanders from entering the Democratic side first. Bernie Sanders, of course, ran away with Vermont easily, his home state, not a shock. He came out very quickly and made a victory speech in his home state. He kind of took advantage of the time that he had. It was kind of a dead period. Not many results had come in. Sort of a calculated move because he had the stage to himself early in the night, but also probably not just going to be his biggest victory, but possibly his only clear victory of the night. Unfortunately, we're not sure. There's going to be a lot of states that are real close. But again, he took advantage of his time. He gave a speech with his typical talking points and kind of drove his message home. And so far, now of course this is expected to be Hillary's night. She kind of dominates in the South in terms of Democratic voters. Of course, states like Alabama, Georgia, not surprising. Clintons have always been very strong African American voters, and the South, of course, being from Arkansas, that gives her an advantage there and surrounding areas. So she's done basically as expected. States like Georgia, she's won easily. Alabama, likewise. Tennessee and Virginia. So this sort of swing states, if you will, the ones that are still up for grabs in terms of tonight between Bernie and Hillary. Oklahoma is going to be an interesting one. We're kind of waiting to see what happens there. Bernie might actually start pulling away with it. What else? Let's see. And then we have another 58 seconds till our next closing. I'm kind of monitoring here. Georgia already mentioned. Hillary won by a 3-1 margin, easily there. Arkansas just came in not too long ago, and she had the advantage. Texas is coming in pretty soon. Now, Texas is interesting because it'll be very interesting on the Republican side to see what happens, so we'll get to that in a minute. But you have to remember, part of Texas is actually a different time zone when we get to El Paso, so you might have different results coming in at different times. Virginia, Clinton won 65% margin, so that's fairly significant there. And she's actually right now giving her speech to her supporters. So anybody who's following along like I am with the TV, you can actually listen to her. So Hillary is now projected to win Texas. That has just been announced. And not surprisingly, in the Republican side, let's get to that. Ted Cruz, of course, not just a given because it's his home state, but a must win for him if he has any chance of staying in whatsoever. So what's interesting is the margin for Ted Cruz as far as Texas goes. How much of a margin is he going to get? Because what happens here, without getting too technical, this is really not about winner take all. These are all about the delegates. So the percentages are really significant here, not just in telling us popular opinion, but by how much it's going to actually impact the race. So right now, Ted Cruz at 39% in Texas, which really is not significant given the fact that it is his home state, and also this is kind of his turf in terms of the whole South. He felt like this was going to be his day. He thought that the Bible Belt was really his territory. Of course, he's appealing to the more conservative religious base. And so he needs not just to win Texas, but to win it by a good margin. He's also kind of relying on the surrounding states like Oklahoma and Arkansas, and those are not necessarily falling for him. So we'll get you some more details on that in a minute. So right now, Arkansas is actually really close. Donald Trump at 32%, Marco Rubio 31%, right behind him, and then Cruz running third. Alabama, not surprisingly, went Donald Trump's way. Get you those numbers. He is clearly the projected winner there. And his numbers for Alabama, 42%, Cruz at 20, and Rubio at 19. So pretty easy win there. Okay, I have Travis coming in now on the line. Let's get him.
Hey.
Travis.
Hey, I only have a minute, if that. They're about to start the proceedings here, which this place is a madhouse. It's packed beyond belief. And I have to believe this is some sort of record turnout. There's a lot of Bernie people here. I see a lot of Bernie swag. I'm here out in Aurora Central High School in Aurora, Colorado. I'm a caucus captain, as you can see, which means I think I'm going to be making a speech, and I'll be signing people up as county delegates and all kinds of other crap that I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to be doing it. Is Molly still on the call? Is anybody else on the call?
No, Molly only had about 2 minutes to join us because she was kind of like you. She had to run. She volunteered to help a state representative, so y'all are way too busy tonight. I'm sitting here drinking while I watch the MSNBC results.
Yeah, I can barely hear you. I haven't heard much about results other than Hillary's killing it in the southern states. Bernie's doing okay in Massachusetts so far. I don't even know. I like, this is work. I'm really working here, and I'm going to be working, I'm guessing, for the next 2 hours as soon as it starts. So I don't know when I'll be able to check in again, but it is packed to the gills. Let me show you real quick. And that's just one corner of the building where I'm in right now. So it's pretty crazy. And we're going to get started with the actual caucus process soon. The way it's going to work is they're going to announce the rules, and everybody's going to go to their different precincts. There's 12 precincts at this one high school right here. So all the people from my precinct are going to go to an area. Then we're going to do the preference vote to see who's all is for Hillary, who's for Bernie. I'm going to log in all the people that are for Bernie and then do the math to figure out how many county delegates there are. And then I guess I'm going to have a hand in selecting them, making sure they can go to the events. Then I'm going to check with, I guess, the precinct supervisor to make sure the numbers are correct and that the delegates are awarded correctly. And then I'm going to drink heavily.
Do the drinking after the counting, just for the sake of democracy.
The plan. Definitely no drinking until I'm done with my duties here, which I'm still kind of figuring out as I go. But there's a lot of very helpful people here. Most of the Alberta people here are just like me. This is their first time. They don't know what they're doing. They're figuring it out on the fly. So very grassroots here. It's heartening, despite the other results from other states right now that are trickling in. So there's that, if you're a Bernie supporter. But that's it for now. I got to go. I'll check in again when I can. So Pierre, keep the fires burning down there.
Yeah, we're going to be here for a while. Just real quick before you go, you said there's a lot of younger, maybe first-time, at least caucusers, if not voters. But do you get a sense of whether the crowd is more Bernie, Hillary, or do you think the turnout maybe is partly because of Bernie? Maybe some of that.
Swag, I haven't really seen much Hillary swag, but I haven't been seeking out the Hillary people either yet, so I don't know. I honestly have no idea. There's a state reps here, though. There's a lot of people supporting state reps. Very ethnically diverse and age-diverse crowd here, I gotta say. So I have no idea, honestly, how it's going to go, but there's a decent amount of young people, and there's a lot of Bernie supporters, so at least there's that. There's a lot of Bernie caucus captains like me, so we'll see what that amounts to, basically.
All right, very good. Well, don't work too hard.
I'll try not to. All right, gotta go.
All right. All right. So we've already heard from 3 different polling locations. Of course, they're all stationed there in Colorado. Colorado, very interesting to see what happens. And you've kind of heard from all 3. There's really not a clear sense of what's, which way the crowd's going to go. We try to go by exit polls and predictions, and none of that really means anything because they're not reliable. So we like to wait for actual results and report those. But interesting that it seems to be another dynamic that what Travis just mentioned. A lot of people coming out maybe for the first time, not necessarily first time voting, but first time joining as part of the process. And maybe, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of that enthusiasm for Bernie and his message. Not going to just come out and compare him to Barack Obama, but you get the sense that a trend we're seeing across both parties, really, is that the voters are looking for change. I kind of think that, in a way, as crazy as it sounds, part of Trump's success is really very much like Obama, in the sense that people are looking for that one word change. They're looking for a candidate who will bring something different, someone who's not establishment. Obviously, Bernie brings that to some extent, even though he has been a senator for 30 plus years. People don't see him as representing the establishment or big business or special interests. So even though he is a career politician, he's seen as an outsider to Washington, whatever that means. Trump obviously is. So people just want something different. This is why Jeb Bush, who over a year ago would have been projected to be the favorite, is not even in the race on Super Tuesday. The typical, if you would, establishment politician, that's not what people are looking for. So people like Rubio and Cruz, who are kind of looking to get a foothold on the race here, get some voters to switch over from Trump, they're going to have to bring more than just their same message. They're going to have to convince people that they're on their side. That might be hard for Cruz, seeing as how he's leaning so far right. He's going to have to find something if he stays in this, which clearly he will after today, because he's at least holding on. But he's going to have to find something. So with that, let me get some more results here. Those of you who weren't with us earlier maybe haven't heard. Of course, you're choosing to watch this instead of the TV. So Virginia, Hillary 65%, Bernie 35%. That's a good win for her. Virginia also going to Donald Trump. Not a big surprise. Donald Trump has pretty much had his way tonight in terms of winning the states. But again, this is all about delegates. His margin of victory there was very close, though. 35% in Virginia, 31% for Marco Rubio, 19% for Cruz. Right now, Cruz and Rubio are kind of splitting second place among all the other states. Texas is just coming in recently. Hillary, a clear winner, 67% to 31% for Bernie. Texas, not surprisingly, going to Ted Cruz. What might be surprising is that his margin victory was not very big, considering it's his home state. He didn't even hit, according to the most recent numbers, didn't even hit 40%. Trump very close. Now, Oklahoma, right now, just projected for Ted Cruz, 34% and Trump the 30%. That's huge for Cruz, for him to stay in this, because he needs something other than just Texas. And Oklahoma is one of those states, again, right nearby, his neighboring state. He thought he might be able to appeal to conservatives. So, so far, looks like it worked. He also did a lot of work in Arkansas, campaigning there. Arkansas's latest numbers are coming into Arkansas on the Democratic side went to Hillary, not surprisingly, seeing as how she was first lady there. for 12 years, I believe, and she won by 65 to 32% margin. On the Republican side, Arkansas, Donald Trump 32% and Rubio 30%, and Cruz right behind at 28%. So Arkansas is still too close to call, but Ted Cruz is running third right now in Arkansas. So that not a good sign for the Cruz campaign. Rubio is still hanging in there. He's still hanging in a couple of these states. Alabama easily went to Donald Trump. Margin there, 46%. Cruz at 20, Rubio at 16. Not too significant. Massachusetts. Some people thought Bernie had a chance there, right next to his home of Vermont. Right now, projected 48% for Hillary and 51% for Hillary, 48% for Bernie. So really, really close. But it does look like Hillary is going to win Massachusetts, barely. Donald Trump easily won Massachusetts, 49%. Oklahoma, just coming in here, Bernie Sanders at 52%. So Oklahoma, sort of a surprise state here on both sides. Hillary and Donald Trump, neither one of them able to capture Oklahoma. Tennessee, right now, Hillary projected to win. She's at 66%, with Bernie only 33%. So quite a big gap there. And of course, no surprise, Donald Trump is winning Tennessee, projected at least. He is at 43%. Now, a lot of these states, the margin is significant because, again, this is all about the delegates. So it's not winner take all. And especially the Republican side, there's a lot of splitting and dividing here, not just because we have more than two candidates, but just because of the way the rules are. Could go into the details, but maybe we'll save that for later. But what is significant in a lot of the states, if you pass that 50% threshold, then you could potentially take the majority or all of those delegates. And so that is important, the numbers in that sense. For some of these, again, it's all about the district, and you might get a 2/3 share of the delegates depending on where you win. So as Bernie mentioned in his speech earlier, it's not just a matter of saying what states did you win. It's about the delegates. And the way he put it was, the number of delegates we have after today is enough that we're going to see this thing through to the end. He listed numbers, he listed how many delegates they still need, and he's right. Again, this is not all 50 states voting. This is just one of the most significant days for voting, Super Tuesday, but there's still a long way to go. I believe 35 states still left, including some of the big ones. So yes, we like to declare winners, and we like to look at the big picture in terms of who's leading, but there's still a long way to go. Just like after Nevada, some people are declaring that Bernie's lost his mojo. Well, Nevada didn't go Barack's way in 2008 either, so there's still a lot left to be determined. Donald Trump on the Republican side, it's very obvious he's the leader and he's going to remain the leader, but the question is who's going to come in second and who's going to maybe present the only challenge to take him down, if anybody will. So really, there's not many surprises in terms of the fact that Trump is still the projected winner in all these states. Most of these states, I should say. Texas, Oklahoma going to Ted Cruz. What is Marco Rubio going to do? Is he going to get enough delegates to hang in there, and is he going to give the next biggest push? So this is why you've seen Cruz and Rubio kind of going after each other, maybe unwisely, rather than focusing on the leader, which is Trump. But someone's got to emerge from that pack. And so tonight maybe will give us a clearer sign. Rubio's camp has already said they're sticking in it regardless of what happens tonight. So I'm pretty sure Ted Cruz is the same thing, especially after winning some of these states like Oklahoma. Okay, Colorado, what we've been talking a lot about. Just now starting to get some results. There's nothing reported, but we're looking to see what's going to happen. But we're going to get results from Colorado and Minnesota pretty soon. So with that said, we'll take a very short break here, and I'll put up some information on the screen for you. So don't go anywhere. All right, what you're looking at here, just a little aside here, we talk about polling and predictions. This one, this one graphic claims that if you want to look at a way to predict the primaries, there's a correlation between Google searches for candidates in that state and actual results. So this is some examples from New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada, and it appears to show a pretty strong correlation with, again, Google searches for a certain candidate within each state right before, I believe it was the week leading up to that state's primary, and who actually was voted for. Now, these didn't necessarily hold true in Iowa or some of the other states. So this has been disputed somewhat. You can see this was released on Twitter, but it's kind of interesting food for thought. If you think about the reliability of polls and depending on who's asking and what's happening. Okay, I think we have Rachel coming in the line. Let me try to grab her.
Here, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes, there you are. We can see you.
Hi.
How's it going?
How's it going over there? It's crazy. So, remember when I said there was a lot of people here?
Yeah.
We are over capacity for the theater room that we were originally in, and so now we are being moved either to a gymnasium or to two separate caucus sites, and we're waiting to find out which one of those is the case.
Wow, so full to the max. So you're actually being physically moved. So,
Yeah. Way more people than they thought were going to show, and over capacity for fire marshal purposes, so we have to be moved.
wow. Okay, and we just heard a few minutes ago from Travis, and he was saying it seemed like there was a lot of first timers, people who are kind of new to the process, wanting to volunteer, and a lot of enthusiasm there. So obviously, this is a much bigger turnout than was expected. What do you attribute that to, or what's the sense you're getting from the people who are there?
So the Bernie supporters that I'm sitting with are very passionate, and there's a lot of talk, a little bad talk about Hillary, which I don't love, but there's a lot of talk about Bernie's great attributes. Sorry, we're sitting next to the hallway to the restroom, so we're getting a lot of questions. But yeah, I think there's a lot of, I don't know, other than that, it's a really exciting primary caucus. So I think we're being moved currently, if you can see the people walking, I guess would be into the gymnasium. So we're going to go do that. And we may have some supporters later that want to come talk about their support and their sort of, we'll have them on live, and I'll check back soon.
All right, sounds good. Good luck out there.
Here.
All right, so a lot of enthusiasm apparently in Colorado there, and you heard too a lot of excitement. Seems to be a lot of it surrounding Bernie. Now again, it sounds like we're just all stumping for Bernie this show, and that, truth be told, we are slightly liberal on this show. If you've ever heard it before, yes, that is who we support. But one of the things that Travis talked about not too long ago, he wrote a very good post on this, was getting behind the candidate regardless, of the way things shake out. And so just as staunchly as we would support Bernie right now, he's out doing the caucus for him. I'm probably the lone Democrat in the county I live in here in Texas, so and that's who I voted for. But if Hillary wins it as expected, we will be just as staunch as Hillary supporters, and not just because we all fear the empire under Donald Trump, but that's the candidate that we would want to see win. So, speaking of, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience here, because I'm not streaming live from somewhere, a polling site. I live in Texas. I used to live in San Antonio. Now I'm in basically a small town outside, a rural area outside of San Antonio called Helotes. And not only that, but I'm in a different county. It's Medina County, and it's an extremely rural area because I'm on the very edge of that. So we had to drive down to the local fire station, volunteer fire department, actually, the volunteer fire department, because it's not big enough to have its own fire department. And, in a line of about 20 people, as opposed to what you've seen in Colorado, where there's thousands of people packing the gym and they have to be physically moved. I'm pretty sure that my wife and I were the only Democrats there. There weren't a whole lot of people asking for Democratic ballots. So our joke on the way home was that we pretty much have all the power here. We're swaying the Democratic vote for our county. but we'll see. So regardless of where you are, if you didn't go out and vote, just make sure that when the time comes and it matters, you do your part, regardless of who you support, what party you are. And of course, if you're a Republican, you're probably not watching this anyways, but yeah, regardless, just make sure you take part in the process. So let's get back to some more results. Travis, hold on, Travis is all right, yes, Travis is telling me that there is still chaos in Denver, and he's not talking about the Super Bowl victory party. So we're going to hear some more live reporting in just a couple of minutes. Let me write him back to tell him. All right. So far, we have Donald Trump winning Alabama, Georgia, Massachusetts, Tennessee, and Virginia. None of those are too surprising. Probably slightly more surprising, though not shocking. Of course, Ted Cruz winning Texas is expected, but Oklahoma was sort of up for grabs, and right now Cruz winning that. Rubio yet to claim any states. Does that mean he's coming in third? Generally speaking, I would say yes, although he has come in second in a couple of states ahead of Cruz. So interesting, I saw a poll that among voters on the GOP side who decided in the last few days, just made up their mind, Rubio actually had a lead there. So it seems to me anybody who's paying attention to the news and actually cares what's being said, they're starting to kind of change their mind about the Donald, and they're deciding that Rubio is who they're going to support. A name I haven't mentioned all night until just now is Ben Carson. Ben Carson apparently does not exist anymore. At one point a couple of months ago, he was running second and kind of came out of nowhere, and I've actually heard some people in person telling me that that's who they support, people I know. And I immediately then asked why. I don't quite remember what they said, that he just seemed more trustworthy. I think maybe because of his status as a surgeon. Maybe he comes off as less of a politician, because he's not. And it goes back to the point I made earlier, the reason that Donald Trump is being successful, the reason to some extent Bernie is catching fire, as opposed to what seemed like the very overwhelming, obvious choice of Hillary, not your typical establishment politician. So apparently that that momentum is completely gone, and Ben Carson, I would think, have no choice but to drop out after tonight, because he's not even sniffing third place in any of these states. John Kasich, we haven't mentioned him either. The only noteworthy item for him is Massachusetts. I believe he was running second a while ago, and maybe Vermont he had some votes. Try to get those numbers as soon as I see them back here. But again, it would be a hard case to make for him or Ben Carson to stay in after tonight. There's really not a realistic scenario where they're going to make any waves. So again, the news, the headline will be Trump wins most of the states here. But again, it's about the delegates. And so Cruz is still hanging in there. Rubio said he's going to see this thing through. So it's still going to be at very least a 3-horse race from this point on. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton still holding her base. The South, of course, is where she's strongest. Texas, she's at 67%, winning easily right now with 22% in. 251 delegates up for grab there. Arkansas, of course, already said she's won. She's taken Georgia, Alabama, Virginia. So the majority is definitely going her way so far. Minnesota, still too early to call. Polls are closed, but we still have no results either way from Minnesota. And Colorado, you've already heard about all the chaos there, so it might be a while till we hear anything from those states. Still 0% in. Too close to call. John Kasich actually making a case in Vermont. He is right now second, but it's too close to call. Arkansas actually also too close to call. Marco Rubio running second there. It doesn't look like he'll win it, but at least he's giving Donald a good challenge. Other race that's too close to call now, Massachusetts on the Democratic side. Bernie Sanders, a difference of 21,000 votes, 36% in. So he's still got some ground to make up. But again, this is not winner take all. So if he can at least make a good challenge there, that would be a significant state. Minnesota, much smaller, way too early to call, and likewise on the Republican side. So these are the latest results we're getting in. Colorado, again, way too early to decide anything there. All right, so what is the outlook right now on the Democratic side? Again, Bernie's going to see this thing all the way through. He's not going to win very many states, if anything, beyond Vermont tonight. But again, that's not the bottom line here. So he's still doing pretty well, putting up a challenge, very close in Massachusetts. Oklahoma now, supposedly, is going to be going to Bernie Sanders also. So there's one other state, 52%, actually quite a bigger margin than expected. Now, one question people have is about the superdelegates, because supposedly Hillary has this huge lead. Regardless of what happens with the delegates tonight, she's still going to be way ahead. Now, we always refer back to 2008. Okay, so she also had all the support of the superdelegates until Barack Obama started gaining momentum. And what happened? By the time June came around, those superdelegates had switched. And ultimately, Hillary saw the writing on the wall and she had to withdraw. Could the same thing happen? Yes, it could happen. Right now, all the support is behind the obvious candidate, the expected candidate, which was Hillary all along. If the majority comes out, not just tonight, because again tonight this is the South, this is Hillary's turf, and she's expected to win as she has the southern states like Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, even Virginia. She's doing quite well as expected there. After tonight, if Bernie's able to pick up some key states and increase his delegate margin, if the momentum starts going his way, he could overtake Hillary. Those superdelegates might have no choice but to change their vote. Now, do they have to? No, they don't. Okay, the super delegate's a very touchy subject because really, if you look at the argument, this was made by both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in 2008, that it's sort of unfair. And yes, it is, because they have no allegiance to the public and the way that they vote. And so they can really, if it's, again, really, really close race, they could be the tipping point, the superdelegate vote. It remains to be seen if that will happen. But time will tell. So at this point, yes, Hillary looks like she has quite a significant lead. But again, it's way too early and things could definitely change. Okay, right now, we're still waiting on results. We have nothing new to report. Virginia is right now Donald Trump, 97% in. Donald Trump with 35%, Marco Rubio with 32%, and Ted Cruz just behind in third place. So Virginia will go to Donald, but again, if you look at that split, it's practically an even share. Again, you want to get technical, the way it's all broken down, you have to look at each state. and their particular rules. If you want to look, for example, Virginia, let's tell you how it works here. It's a proportional vote. All 49 of those states' delegates are allocated proportional to the statewide vote. Okay, so there is no threshold that's going to determine how much anybody's going to do. So in other words, calling Trump the winner there is a little misleading, because at 32% versus 35%, Rubio is going to come away with very close to the same amount of delegates there. There's a big graphic now on the screen showing the number of states Trump has won. What matters is the delegates. Let me say it again. So, Chris Christie now, well-known Donald Trump lover, is now, for some reason, giving a speech and stumping for the Donald again, because he didn't get beat up in the media enough the first time. So that's what's going on right now. Let me now, Donald is getting ready to speak. And I can't wait to see what he says. Alright, I'm going to take a short break here and put up some more information on the screen for you. We'll hang around a little while longer and see if we can get some more information from Colorado. So, hang tight.
States, and it looks like we could win 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. It's really been great. I want to congratulate Ted on the winning of Texas. He worked hard on it, and I know how hard he worked, actually, and so I congratulate Ted Cruz on that win. That was an excellent win. We're going to make America great again, folks. We're going to make it great again. And, I watched Hillary's speech, and she's talking about wages have been poor, and everything's doing badly, but we're going to make it. She's been there for so long. I mean, if she hasn't straightened it out by now, she's not going to straighten it out in the next 4 years. It's just going to become worse and worse. She wants to make America whole again, and I'm trying to figure out what is that all about. Make America great again is going to be much better than making America whole again. So I just want to say that this was an exciting evening. It's so great to be in Florida. It's so great to be at Mar-a-Lago with friends and the press and the media and everybody. I know it was a very tough night for Marco Rubio. He had a tough night, but he worked hard. He spent a lot of money. He is a lightweight, as I've said many times before. But you know what? We're going to go to Florida. We're going to spend so much time in Florida. We've got about a 20-point lead. I know that a lot of groups, a lot of the special interests, and a lot of the lobbyists and the people that want to have their little senator do exactly as they want, they're going to put $20 or $25 million into it over the next 2 weeks from what just came over the wires. And frankly, I think that's fine. As far as I'm concerned, it's fine.
Heading into Super
and
Tuesday, nobody has any
total control. But he's not going anywhere anyway. But we'll see what happens. But we're going to spend a lot of time in Florida. The Virginia win was just a great win, because it's a place that is just spectacular and a place that we have big investments in, as we have in Florida. Remember, we have thousands of employees in Florida, all along Miami, Doral and Mar-a-Lago and so many other places, and it's been an amazing place to invest. It's been amazing to have so many wonderful employees, some of whom are here tonight, really urging us on. And I have thousands of employees all over the country, actually all over the world. But for purposes of tonight, we'll just say all over the country.
All right, that's about as much as I can take of that. So there's Donald Trump, as usual, congratulating himself. Let's take that angry graphic off too. All right, so just a little reminder who's winning in the race for president right now on one side. So yeah, it's you know what? I have to give it to him. He's always entertaining. It was a tough night for Marco Rubio, as he declared, and his very condescending compliment of Ted Cruz for winning his home state of Texas. He said he had to work really hard to win his home state. Don't think that wasn't noticed. So yeah, and it's very odd to watch Donald Trump standing there giving his sort of self-congratulatory speech with Chris Christie standing right behind him. It's an odd scene, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. Donald Trump is the leader. He's projected to win 5 different states and possibly more by the time the night is through. Some by quite a big margin, some not as much. But again, his lead was already big enough that it's significant for him. So one thing that's interesting, some of this exit polling, looking up here, it says that voters in all except for Texas and Vermont, arguably the most conservative plus the most liberal of the 2 states, pretty much everywhere else it said most people were looking for an outsider candidate on the Republican side. I think they're talking about Donald Trump because that's what he represents. If anything else, I don't know if you want to use the word values. I don't really think it's just that, although, of course, for certain demographics, yes, his quote-unquote values might match theirs. So we talk about immigration and issues like that. But I think it's really more about the name recognition and, again, people are just looking for a non-politician to elect. And I've said it before, but again, with Bernie, he, of course, is a lifetime politician, but he is not seen as a big name politician. He's not seen as establishment representing special interests. He is, obviously a self-avowed socialist. So he represents something different. And that's what people are looking for. They are not looking for the expected, thankfully, not another Bush. People who are voting for Bernie aren't looking for another Clinton to get in. But I think giving more credit to the Democratic side here, Bernie's message is strong, and I think that's what's resonating with people because, I personally, for myself, I'm not looking to vote against Hillary. She had my vote all along, but, Bernie's message is what's doing it for me. The Republicans are the ones I think really are looking for something different. Maybe because what they have isn't quite that enthralling to begin with. Nobody's really firing up the base, so to speak. So that's what Donald Trump's doing. So with that said, only other thing to talk about on the Trump side, he might not win quite so much in Vermont. But again, that's not significant in terms of the number of delegates. It's still really close there. He is ahead 33-30. Kasich, that's the only place he's making really much noise. Um, but again, the importance of that is probably very minor in the big picture of things. So a lot of quote-unquote angry Republicans have shown up to vote, according to CNN and polls. About 20% of them have just made up their minds. A lot of those voters supposedly actually went Rubio's way. Whether that's a trend that will continue remains to be seen. After tonight, Rubio is still going to be in it, but he's not necessarily going to be better off. Obviously, Florida down the road will go a huge way to determining what happens with him. If he can't win Florida, I think he's pretty much out. Have to remember that Trump, though he's not necessarily a native Floridian, he has huge interest there, of course. Real estate, his presence is felt there. He's in Florida right now making his speech, the one part of which you just heard. He's in Palm Beach. He knows how important that is. Obviously, his campaign has told him that. So that's going to be a very, very big potential turning point. I wouldn't be surprised to see Trump take Florida, personally. So, being a native Floridian myself, as is Travis, again, that is our home state. Don't know if I should be proud to mention that, but yeah, Florida is definitely, as you've seen before, going to be key. Okay, just got in some preliminary numbers for Colorado, where we've been so interested, and Bernie apparently has the lead. That's kind of the sense we were getting from our reports, from our reporters, I should say. But yeah, Bernie, 53%. Very early, way too early to call anything. But again, that could be kind of a key swing state for him. Have not seen any results yet from Minnesota. Still waiting to see if we have any news there. So let me check real quick. And looks like there's nothing yet on Minnesota. Colorado, we have 1% reporting. Way too early to make anything of those results. So, quick recap. On the Democratic side, Alabama, Clinton easily winning. Arkansas, Hillary Clinton definitely winning there. Colorado, we just mentioned, way too early. Georgia, Hillary winning very easily, almost 3-1 margin. Massachusetts, very, very close. Hillary with a slight edge, but again, all about the delegates there. So Massachusetts, practically a split. Minnesota, now 1% reporting, but Hillary with a lead, 56% to 41 for Bernie. Oklahoma, Bernie actually takes that one, 52 to 40%. Tennessee, Hillary Clinton winning, basically doubling Bernie's vote get. Also, same thing in Texas. Texas, of course, huge state, 67% for Clinton. Vermont, no surprise, Bernie in a landslide, his home state, 86%, of course, one of the smaller states there. And then Virginia, Hillary again with very solid numbers, almost 100% reporting there now, being an East Coast state, 64 to 35%. On the GOP side, again, recap here. Alabama, Donald Trump winning easily with 46%. Ted Cruz came in second with Marco Rubio right behind him, 19 and 17%. Ben Carson, that was probably his biggest showing at 9.8%, and probably his last showing of anything. Arkansas, Donald with 33.9%, Rubio at 27%, Cruz at 26%. So, and that's only 11%. So Arkansas still looks like it's going to go Donald's way, but the race for second place could be interesting. Carson 5%, Kasich 4.6. Georgia, huge win for Donald. Had to get that in somewhere. Huge win, 41%. Cruz at 24, Rubio 21. Massachusetts, Donald Trump. This is with 45% reporting. Donald Trump might get over the 50% mark in Massachusetts. He's at 49.1 right now. Rubio at 18, Kasich 17.6. That's his best showing outside of Vermont, which we'll get to. But Kasich at 17.6. He actually is third, almost second place there. We'll see how he manages to do. So Cruz, meaning fourth place in Massachusetts. Minnesota, it's still too early to tell. Oklahoma, Cruz, slight upset victory there at 34.7, again neighboring his home state of Texas, but it was hard to tell whether the voters were going to come out for Cruz, but they did. Kind of surprising if you contrast the more conservative of all the candidates there, more establishment in Cruz, winning the same state that Bernie did. So I don't know how you explain that. Trump had 29%, Rubio 24%. Tennessee, Trump with 42, Cruz with 23, Rubio with 19. Texas, as you know, Ted Cruz winning 40%, Trump 28%. Not sure what was really expected there. I think Trump, if he was going to get into the 30s, that would have been a pretty good showing for him there. He kind of sarcastically mentioned Cruz's win in Texas as being very important for him. Notice how he had to kind of mention his one quote-unquote loss and excuse it, that Cruz worked very hard to win that. Vermont was 32% for Trump. Kasich, his best showing by far, 30.4%. So it looks like he'll run second place. Rubio at 19, Cruz at 9.8. So no surprise in the Northeast, Cruz is definitely running behind the others. And in Virginia, really, really close, but Trump has won at 35%, Rubio at 31%. That's probably his most significant showing there. Cruz at 16.9%, Kasich at 9%, and Ben Carson is still fifth place. So that's your recap for now. I'm going to check in to see if we have any news from our loyal reporters here in Colorado. So stand by.
Hello?
Hello, Molly.
Hi there.
Hey, you're coming in loud and
Yes.
clear.
Oh, our precinct is officially done, so I'm able to kind of chat with you a little bit as we leave.
All right, perfect. So, well, tell us how it was, because all I've heard from Travis and Rachel that is overcapacity and it's basically mass chaos there.
Yeah, so I believe it's a little bit more order. I'm going to flip the screen again so you can see what's going on. We've got voting going on for the platforms right now. So we've got the different precincts, taking a tally for the different platform issues. We just had a state representative. I wasn't able to hear who it was. She was talking about the different issues that she's bringing up, and we've got a lot of people here. But it feels to me pretty orderly. There's no screaming, there's no yelling, and it looks like business is getting done.
Oh, great. All right, so you must be in a much nicer area than they are. We're just getting results, preliminary results from some of the states, and in Colorado, it looks like Bernie's ahead. So that's kind of the sense I was getting. Have you heard anything? Now you've got a chance to kind of settle down and talk to people. What's the sense you're getting there from people as far as which way they're going?
Yeah, I think this area, like I said, we've got quite a few precincts. I think some of them are going to go Hillary, but it feels to me like there's a lot of Bernie support in the room. Our precinct went for Bernie, 2 delegates to 1, and I'm actually now a county delegate for Bernie. I don't know how that happened. So I'm going to be going to the county convention next Saturday, which is exciting.
Wow, well, that's great, and good job doing your part at getting out there. I was just joking on there because I'm in basically a rural city in Texas. I can call it a city, rural town in Texas, and so I think my wife and I were probably the lone Democratic voters for our district. So we carried a lot of weight there. So a little different than where you're at.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of energy in the room. There's a lot of really impassioned people. It's nice to see. This is not a very orderly process, but it's a very kind of town-home democracy process. So it's kind of neat.
Cool. And so a lot of people, I don't know if you can give us too much detail, but again, a lot of people are still confused between caucus and primary. The primary, like we have here, you just show up and vote. Can you give us just a quick sense of the process there? I know you kind of mentioned a little bit, but with the caucus, how's that go?
Yeah, let me flip it back here. So I'm going to try to step out here 1 second. I just don't want the door to lock on me, so hold on a second.
All right.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, that's good.
I can't tell. I'm pretty echoey. So yeah, the caucus here, we convened at 7 o'clock, took roll call. There were quite a few little orders of business about, electing the precinct captains, and then different, platform issues, and then we took the actual straw polls. It's not a raw vote count, I don't think, but the delegate math, when we did the delegates, it seems to be pretty fair. So. Yeah, this is absolute chaos. I'll tell you that much.
Looks like it, but a good kind of chaos, right?
It feels it. I mean, I feel like, hearing from Travis and Rachel, it feels like they're kind of in a totally different environment than here. This feels more, it's chaotic, but it's friendly.
Very good. All right, and you're doing your civic duty for sure. So I just say to give props to all of you guys for doing the hard work tonight. I get to sit here and watch Donald Trump on Fox News while I'm drinking my beer. So I have the easy job.
If there's any indication, I don't think the turnout worries for the Democrats, at least in the state of Colorado, are going to be a concern.
No. So, well, that's promising. Hopefully that holds true in November, right? When it matters even more.
That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for. I did learn next time I do this, I'm bringing earphones.
That sounds good. All right, well, we'll let you go. We're going to get Dana on the other line here real quick. He was calling in. So, but thanks for checking in, and good luck the rest of the night.
All All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you. All right, that was Molly, and so let's see if we can get Dana. He was just calling in. See if we can get him back. All right. We will try that again. Gotta love Skype. Let's see, I believe he left a video message for us. So we're going to see if we can get that to load. Okay, here we go.
Hello?
Dana, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
All right, here we go. All right, so tell us, where are you and what are you doing?
So I am currently locked in a janitor's closet so I can take this call. They are announcing in the giant gymnasium full of a couple thousand people which classrooms within the high school everyone's going to be divvied up to based on their districts. I have instructed Rachel that if they tell us anything about our district, which is 242, to come grab me, but in the meantime, I'm here to tell you what's been going on.
All right, well, I'm sorry to hear that you're locked in the closet, but please tell us about the democratic process while you're in there. I've been hearing it's chaos all night long, so is that how you're experiencing it?
It's been absolutely chaotic, and Rachel's calling me, which means they probably announced our thing.
Oh.
But no, it's been absolutely chaotic. They absolutely did not plan on this many people showing up. Even the parking situation, it was obvious when we got to the site that there was going to be, a couple thousand vehicles in a couple hundred car parking lot. So we parked several blocks away and walked. I know a lot of people were doing the same thing. It was kind of like a large music venue kind of a hike.
Wow.
Got to the lines. We still haven't signed in or registered. We just found our places, and they've just been trying to do crowd control at this point. They just got on the microphone and announced all of the rules. There was a Bernie rep that got up and didn't really make a stump for him. He just said that he was a Bernie rep and he'd be here to support us. And then one of our local representatives got up and said that she was a Hillary supporter, but her fiance was a Bernie supporter, and that tonight is about unity, and that, our number one job, regardless of how tonight goes, is to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. So let's keep it civil. And that's kind of how that went. A couple other people came up and talked about some local issues. A couple of DAs, a couple judges that are up for election or re-election. And why we should support them as Democrats. And then they started going through kind of the long process of explaining which district is going to be in which classroom. And there are a bunch of high school-aged volunteers who are going to try to help us navigate the high school to make sure that we all end up in the right room.
All right.
And that's kind of what we're doing right now.
All right, that's interesting.
So
you mentioned about the...
Pretty deep in the process. Still haven't done any caucusing.
All right, and it's, if I'm correct, 8 o'clock your time, correct? Or 8:05 approximately.
Correct. So we've been here 2.5 hours just to make good time, make sure that we were here on time. And we're now just about to start the process.
Wow. Yeah, and
there might be some late boarding in Colorado based on the turnout.
Yeah, I haven't seen much, and I mean the last time I was able to check, hardly any results from Colorado, but it looked early on like Bernie was in the lead, about 53% 3% if I remember, but that was 1% in, so you could take that with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Are you getting a
Yeah, I mean,
sense of the crowd?
if I had to guess from the volume of the crowd,
Hmm.
I would say that anytime Bernie's name is mentioned, just from like the applausometer,
Uh-huh.
I'd say it's probably, at least at this precinct, probably 60-40.
Wow. Okay.
It's definitely noisier when he gets mentioned, but Hillary Clinton's not getting booed or anything.
Okay, well, I want to mention that because I talked about that earlier. That regardless of what happens, just not just past tonight, but throughout the whole process, I think the message here, and Travis made this point a couple of weeks ago in one of the articles he wrote, was, we're going to need to rally to support the Democratic nominee, regardless of who he or she is. So
Absolutely.
glad to hear that
And they
it's very
have,
civil there.
yeah, it's very civil, despite the fact that the crowd control situation is a little rough. But they have doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on the message that no matter how it shakes out tonight, we're going to need to respect one another, be civil, and be prepared to rally behind whoever is picked tonight. The message that we have two really great candidates has come out of the people who have supported both sides.
Hmm.
Or either side. And I'd say that amongst the crowd, it seems like, I was standing with the Bernie crowd in the first auditorium we went into before the fire marshal said that there were too many people in the auditorium and we had to move to a gymnasium. But I was standing in the Bernie corner there, and there were definitely some people shit-talking Hillary, but a lot of people weren't really rising to the bait. A lot of people were kind of correcting people and being like, yeah, but, if she's going to be the president, she'd be a really great president.
Hmm.
And people kind of came to heel on that point. So I think that message is resonating from what I'm picking up.
Well, good. That's definitely good to hear. I wonder if it's the same way on the Republican side. They're gonna.
Oh, I wouldn't even bother to venture to guess. I mean, Colorado's Republican side is already frighteningly confusing enough. I bet if I had to guess, I would say that it's probably a shooting gallery around that place. But
Yeah,
that's
literally.
just my... Yeah, exactly.
Because stand your ground and everything. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's just my guess, though. I mean, I haven't been to any of the Republican primary sites. There's not like a Republican half of this room or anything. I have no idea what their process is going to look like, but I have a pretty good inclination that almost none of the people that went to this thing know what the Republican side of this process is going to look like anyway.
yeah, well, better stay safe and kind of just stay away from that, anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah, right now what I'm showing is 2% in. Bernie is at 52% in Colorado, and Hillary's at 46. So it does seem like he's got an early lead. But again, so obviously it's way too early to say anything. So
That's interesting. Are they saying anything about the remainder of those undecided delegates?
uh,
Or is there a party candidate that's getting any sort of delegate count?
no, I'm just reading straight off of the the feed here from MSNBC, and that's
Okay.
just their basic projections. I'm going with the stats that are online as well as on the TV. So that's the latest what I just saw. But the night is still
Okay.
young. Obviously, you got a lot of work ahead of you. So you're looking forward to
Yeah, I
this.
mean, if I get the opportunity to speak, I will relay that to the group that Bernie already has an early lead with the 2% in. Maybe that'll be persuasive to some people. Probably not with 2% in, but
No.
you never know. I think I've got Rachel already switched back over to the Bernie side. So I've already got one voter.
Hey, one at a time. That's how it works, right?
Exactly.
Very
So I
good.
need to run back out there and see who they're announcing and make sure that I'm present when they call my number. But I will check back in as soon as I can.
All right. Well, good to hear from you, and keep doing your good work. Hopefully we'll hear from you a little bit.
Great. All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Hello. Dana here. I'm reporting from the Colorado caucus in Lakewood.
All right, and I'm back. So right now, Vermont too close to call. Still, Kasich is making up ground. He's only behind 600 votes. to Donald Trump. So Kasich might actually take a state. But again, it's a little too close. They're now saying Arkansas for the GOP is also too close to call, despite the fact Donald Trump has 12,000 vote lead. Other races that are close, Massachusetts, Bernie's behind by 27,000 votes. But again, this is still 63% in. This is a very big state relative to the others. So still too close to call. It looks like Hillary might have a slight edge there. But again, it's all about the delegates. And so, victory in and of itself only means so much. Big picture recap, again, those who've joined us a little late. On the Republican side, Ted Cruz has won 2 states, although not shockingly, one of them was Texas. He did not win by a huge margin. Oklahoma, neighboring state, was the other one. Donald Trump has won everything else. Some by a very large margin and some not so much. But he basically maintained what was expected, the southern base here. And even some of the states, well, we just mentioned Vermont was still up for grabs. Massachusetts, he actually won, I would say, fairly easily at a good margin there. As far as delegates, right now they have Donald Trump at 70, Cruz at 20, and Rubio at 10. Rubio probably hoping for a better showing than that. Probably some states he thought he might get away with, or at least finish ahead of Cruz. He has not done that. Totals right now, Donald Trump is at 152, Cruz at 37, and Rubio at 26. So if there's a case to be made that someone else might supplant Donald Trump, they still have quite a way to go, and it doesn't look like either one of them are going to fold anytime soon. So we'll see. You would assume that the once second place Ben Carson would be done after tonight. His name is barely even come up. Kasich might have a better case for staying in than he would, because at least he has his base he could appeal to, which is a little more moderate Republicans. On the Democratic side, to recap, Hillary is winning pretty much every state other than Vermont, of course, Bernie's home state, and Oklahoma, which is kind of surprised both ways. So Bernie won there. Some still close to call. We just mentioned Massachusetts. Right now, delegate count, Hillary 26 and Bernie 15. So again, you look at the number of states won, it seems like huge victory for Hillary. But overall, in the big picture, it's really not quite that significant. Ted Cruz is putting on his signature smile and giving his speech right now at his campaign headquarters. So yeah, I'm gonna try to not watch that. So latest results now. Let's go back to Colorado, a state of great interest to us personally, but also kind of interesting to see how that shakes out on the Democratic side. Right now, 3% reporting Bernie Sanders at 52.4, so these numbers kind of remaining consistent. Right over that 50% threshold here, but Hillary's still close, so again, way too early to say anything. But that's where we're at with Colorado. And finally, some results from Minnesota. It looks like Hillary is ahead there, 56.5%, Bernie at 41. So again, very, very early, but initially it looks like Hillary has got a good lead there. So any other states that we have not mentioned on the Democratic side, that's pretty much what we're waiting on. The Republican side, fortunately, Alaska, we're just going to have to omit from this show because I am not staying up till midnight to see which 2 delegates from Alaska go to Donald Trump. So Trump actually wasn't doing too well overall in Alaska, but Alaska generally not being the most populated state doesn't have a huge history of voter turnout. So those results will be slightly less significant. On the Republican side, Minnesota now has 10% reporting. Marco Rubio, 36.9%. That might be his probably best victory of any victory he has tonight. This looks like it's going to be it for Marco Rubio, Minnesota. Not sure what that means. Cruz is second at 27.4%, and Donald Trump is at 20%. So Donald Trump actually running third in Minnesota. So that's the voters there sending a clear message. Ben Carson is fourth with 9.2%. That's probably the last time I'll ever have to mention his name. And then Kasich at 5.9%. That is the latest. We're going to take another break here. We'll be on for just a little bit longer, and we'll see if we have any more last reports from Colorado before they get underway. It looks like they're about in the thick of things. If you heard from all our correspondents, they're busy working. I'm busy talking here, but they're out doing the work in the field. And so if they have anything else to add, we'll find out in just a minute. And if not, we'll do a quick recap before our night is done. Stick around. All right, before we finish here, trying to see if we have any other reports from our correspondents in Colorado. Pretty sure they are all busy actually working. So let's just do a final recap here. This taken from the ever reliable source of Google. Let's do a big picture thing here. Talking about delegates, been throwing that out all night. Okay, the bottom line is for the nomination, when it's all said and done, you see the number 2,383 are needed for the nomination. There's 3,650 available. Okay, so we're talking about how many each candidate actually has. Look at that number. It looks like Hillary has an enormous lead. But again, what's that difference? The majority of that is superdelegates. So as I mentioned earlier, if you were listening a while ago, the superdelegates can change at any time. This is not said and done, kind of like a primary where the voters speak and the delegates are basically subject to voter opinion. The superdelegates are sort of the influential Democrats who have a say, and they could potentially tilt the results one way or the other in a close race. Now, it doesn't mean that they can negate popular opinion and basically predetermine the outcome of this race. It's not that simple, because again, look at the numbers there. We're talking about 2,383 delegates needed. The number of superdelegates is not going to overwhelm that. If somebody is, I believe the number is 52 or 52.5%, where beyond a certain point it becomes statistically insignificant what the superdelegates think. Realistically, the superdelegates are not going to completely run contrary to the popular vote. That being said, right now they're all in Hillary's corner, basically. She is the expected, presumed candidate. That could change. If Bernie Sanders is able to win some key states coming up, again, he didn't get a lot of quote-unquote wins tonight, but if you look at the delegate count, he's basically hanging in there, staying close. And these states, the majority of states that we've seen tonight, are southern states where basically Hillary has her base. Again, African American vote has always been strongly in Clinton's favor. That held true as well tonight. A lot of the upcoming states maybe could go break a little differently. We're seeing, again, talk about Colorado. That's widely known as sort of a swing state. It doesn't always lean heavily liberal. But you see, as we've heard, the voter turnout there has been a lot more pro-Bernie right now. 4% in. Bernie's still at 52%. But I think the real story that we're hearing there is the turnout. And of course, high voter turnout, usually good for Democrats because we have some of the younger voters, maybe some of the disenfranchised voting base that comes out. They don't normally come out. The enthusiasm, I think, that we've been hearing from all our correspondents, that's the real story. I think that the voter turnout in states like Colorado, that's going to tell the story. So if we have something happen like what happened in 2008, when Barack Obama took Hillary by surprise, potentially we could have that same situation here. But again, it's too early to tell. So looking at those numbers, it looks like Bernie still has his work to do, but this is far from over. And let's look at the Republican side here. I know you're sad to see those names at the bottom. No Bush, no Christie. Oh, Carly Fiorina, where have you gone? Ben Carson is almost surely going to join that list after tonight. John Kasich really, realistically, has no business still being in this race, as some of the pundits have said. yes, he might win Vermont. Yes, he had a decent showing in Massachusetts and a couple of other states. But big picture, he's still fourth place right now. He's not winning any other states. Ted Cruz, right now, you can call him second place. Reality for him is he won his home state and the one right next to it. So he still has plenty of uphill climbing to do. Marco Rubio right now is winning in Minnesota, but that is definitely not enough to come even near Donald Trump's numbers. Donald Trump, as you can see there, quite the lead. There's really nothing indicating it's going to change. As I mentioned earlier, the Republican voters, as they media has called them, the angry Republicans, a lot of them who are coming out now to vote, they're doing so looking for anti-establishment, looking for an outsider, looking for somebody who's going to bring change. They're angry, obviously, because a Democrat has been in the White House, and they do not want Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. I'm not sure who they would want less, the socialist or another Clinton who also happens to be a female. So I think the supposed extreme right-leaning conservatives who make up Ted Cruz's base, they're not all necessarily going to be in his corner come election day, because if they think that Donald Trump is their best chance to win, they'll probably put their support behind him as well. Not sure where Marco Rubio is at this point. He's kind of in between. Some call him out for being not conservative enough. Some people still see him as a stuffed shirt and being way too political. He's not like Trump. Trump is what people are looking for, the outsider, the one who tells it like it is. Rubio is not like that. Just the other day in his the debate, he, for the first time, decided to take a shot at Trump, and people responded. But that's just not his character. So we'll see how far he goes with this. But you can see the numbers there right now. 221 for Trump, Cruz second at 69, Rubio 41. Those numbers not going to change significantly with any of the results remaining tonight. So that is the bottom line right there. And for my part, I've enjoyed doing this coverage. I hope you all enjoyed this too. And this has been Irreverent Testimony. Look for the show coming up again. Travis and Rachel doing a great job, as always, hosting. I might pop in once in a while for another guest appearance. But it's their show, and they do a great job with it. So glad to see them out doing the work, that not just talking the talk, but walking the walk as well. So shoot us a tweet if you'd like, at Irreverent Duo on Twitter. Always checking that. And of course, as always, I am Pierre. Thank you to the correspondents Travis, Rachel, Dana, and Molly, and look for them on the show as well. Thank you, and have a good night.